Commissioners will then discuss the details of the case, calling on staff to provide details of the proposals. Following discussion, Commissioners may choose to ask questions of the applicant, the staff, and any other interested party. Interested persons may speak to support or protest the application. The applicant will be entitled to one brief rebuttal. Interaction between applicant and protestants on the floor is not permitted. Persons speaking are asked to approach the center podium one at a time to introduce themselves by name and address and to present their position as succinctly as possible. The Commission asks each speaker to limit his or her remarks to no more than 5 minutes. Following the public hearing on application, the Commission will take one of the following actions. 1, approve the certificate of appropriateness. 2, continue the proposal. 3, deny the proposal with prejudice, which means the application may not be resubmitted for at least 1 year unless the Commission determines the circumstances have changed. Or 4, deny the proposal without prejudice, which means the applicant may reapply at any time. When an application has been approved and after a 10-day protest period has expired, the Historic Preservation Officer will mail the CA to the applicant, and then city construction permits cannot be issued until the CA has been issued. And then also, any person aggrieved by any decision granting or denying CA may appeal to the Oklahoma City Board of Adjustment. All appeals shall be made within 10 days of the Commission decision by filing a written notice with the clerk of the Board of Adjustment. Okay. If you would also turn off your cell phones, and I'm going to do the same. And now, the Historic Preservation Officer.
There's nothing on the agenda. I was going to mention a couple of things. One is that the recent revisions to the guidelines of ordinance will go into effect July 11th. So those will take effect for any applications submitted on or after that date, and we'll have copies of those available. If people have questions about what's changed, please contact our office. We're also going to start trying kind of a new thing with our public comments. We want to make a more concerted effort to get copies of comments received on applications to the applicant in advance of the meeting. And in order to help staff to do that, we're going to set a cutoff time for written comments of 9 a.m. the day of the meeting. That will allow us time to make copies of comments or scan them, fax, email, whatever, to get them to an applicant so they have time to see those, as well as to get them distributed to the Commission so that they can be included for their review. Anyone can still obviously come to the meeting and speak in person, but we'll be having an earlier cutoff on when those written comments can come in. And then we welcomed Mary Jo last month, but she wasn't actually here, so welcome her again. And I also wanted to mention that for our other design review bodies that are a part of the Planning Department, they've been working on some revisions to the ordinance related to demolition. That won't affect the HP Commission's demolition review process, but that will affect theirs, and there'll be a public meeting about that sometime in late August. So we'll obviously have that information out and on the website and everything for people to follow. That's all I have.
Okay. Thank you, Katie. Next, the acceptance of the minutes. Are there any comments on the minutes from the June 4th meeting? Motion for approval?
Move to accept.
Accept, I mean.
Second.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, it's been moved by Jeffrey Parks and seconded by Jennifer Bourne. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, minutes are approved. And next, our code enforcement report. Greg?
Good afternoon. Is there any questions over the report? Anybody?
Greg, I appreciate your efforts on the address I asked you about last week. What, again, was the other body that you were, it was to the water department, wasn't it? That one on Northwest 10th and Council? About the drainage issue I asked you about?
That was a stormwater issue.
Right.
That was referred to them, and I don't receive follow-up from that. I just forwarded.
That's okay. I wanted to try to follow up for this client,
okay.
This woman.
I'll look it up and I'll email you something. And find out
I appreciate it.
Because Stormwater Research Center, Department of Environmental Quality, they had their silt screen for any runoff. And if that was being violated, then their inspectors would have to. It's a little outside my realm.
Sure. But I thought if anybody would know, it would be you.
Yeah, I'll find out the results and I'll forward them to you.
Okay, thank you very much.
You bet. All quiet. Good. Thank you.
Thanks, Greg. Okay, so we're now on to item 5, continuance, announcements, and requests.
We don't have any this month.
That was easy. And now we're on to public hearings.
No dilapidated structures. We do have one National Register nomination this month. And this is a nomination that the city has actually been working on. We, in partnership with the State Historic Preservation Office, hired a consultant last year to update a survey. And then this year, the same consultant worked on the nomination of Millers Boulevard Historic District. And this is all through our Certified Local Government program that we do with the State Historic Preservation Office. Millers Boulevard is commonly known as Miller neighborhood from roughly 10th to 16th, Northwest 10th to Northwest 16th, and Villa to May. The entire neighborhood was platted by George and Nellie Miller, and their home is still in the neighborhood. It was developed as a streetcar neighborhood with a gridded street pattern close to downtown, and there are still wide streets where the streetcar tracks would have gone. The short period of time in which the majority of the homes were built and the high level of retention of historic structures makes it a very cohesive neighborhood that just feels very uniform and very rhythmic in its design. The district includes 608 single-family homes, duplexes, and small apartment buildings, about 70 of which are contributing to the historic district, meaning they retain their historic character. There are some new construction properties and some that have been altered, but it's really a pretty high level of contributing properties. The most common architectural style is Tudor Revival, followed by bungalow craftsman style. And the district is being nominated under Criterion C, which is in shorthand architecture, but it is for districts that embody the distinctive characteristics of a type, period, or method of construction, or represent the work of a master, or possess high artistic values, or represent a significant and distinguishable entity whose components may lack individual distinction. I'll read the resolution that's part of the nomination. Resolution of the City of Oklahoma City Historic Preservation Commission recommending Millers Boulevard Historic District is eligible for listing in the National Register of Historic Places. Whereas Millers Boulevard Historic District is located within the incorporated area of Oklahoma City at roughly Northwest 10th to Northwest 16th and North May to North Villa. Whereas the National Register of Historic Places nomination demonstrates the importance of Millers Boulevard Historic District to the history and culture of Oklahoma City. Whereas Millers Boulevard Historic District is locally significant in the area of architecture. Whereas Millers Boulevard Historic District, developed between 1907 and 1941, was developed almost entirely by a single owner and retains a high degree of cohesiveness and integrity. Whereas Millers Boulevard Historic District is a strong example of streetcar-oriented neighborhood development in Oklahoma City in the first half of the 20th century. Whereas the Millers Boulevard Historic District nomination, prepared by Cindy Savage on behalf of the City of Oklahoma City through the Certified Local Governments Program, is an accurate and scholarly written document. Whereas this action is consistent with the provisions of Chapter 59, Sections 3302.2 of the Historic Preservation Ordinance contained in the Zoning and Planning Code, Oklahoma City Municipal Code 2010. Now therefore be it resolved by the Historic Preservation Commission that the nomination of Millers Boulevard Historic District to the National Register of Historic Places is hereby recommended for approval to the Mayor and City Council, the Oklahoma Historic Preservation Review Committee, to the State Historic Preservation Officer and the Keeper of the National Register, that Cindy Savage is commended for her documentation of this important resource, which is representative of Oklahoma City culture and heritage, and the Miller Neighborhood Association is commended for their commitment to the preservation of Millers Boulevard Historic District and the history and culture represented by this important resource. I think we have staff from State Historic Preservation Office here, as well as some representatives of the neighborhood. I don't know if you have any additional comments.
Any questions for the applicant?
I just have a question, Katie. Are all of our HP districts on the National Register?
They actually are not.
Okay.
Heritage Hills East is not listed on the National Register. I think that's the only one that in total is not on the National Register. Several of our other districts have boundaries that are different from the National Register boundaries. Yeah.
So is it possible that next Millers Boulevard would want to be listed as an HP district?
So the two processes are run on completely parallel tracks, and you can do one without the other, and doing National Register nomination doesn't mean by any means that you're next in line to be an HP district. Whereas this is, for the most part, an honorary recognition of the neighborhood that's not going to really affect a private property owner. As we all know, becoming an HP district does affect the way a private property owner can use their property. So we wouldn't move forward with something like that without a lot of support from the neighborhood. But if the neighborhood was interested, we could certainly pursue that.
This helps facilitate that process, though, if that's something
Yes.
they choose to do, right?
Yes.
The National Register does allow some tax advantages if it's income producing,
Right.
say a rental property. So
Yeah.
that's one advantage, besides honorary.
Yes.
It's a great neighborhood. My question is, so the properties that on the south half of the block that faces 10th Street are not a part
Correct.
of this?
Yep.
But all of the properties all the way over to May Avenue are a part of this. Is that true?
The border includes that part. There are quite a few non-contributing properties along there, but the boundary of the district does go all the way.
All the way to May. Okay. Great.
Okay, any more questions?
I just want to thank SHPO and thank the neighborhood for their incredible support in getting this nomination done. This was, usually we do one building, and this was a big one, so everyone was a very good team.
Good. So we're looking for a recommendation to the mayor and city council and to adopt the resolution.
I make a motion to recommend.
Who said that? Oh,
The historian.
is there a second?
Second.
Who's first?
Oh.
Let Ann do it. Okay, so it's been moved by Heather Clemmer and seconded by Ann Zachrich to recommend the nomination to the mayor and city council and approve the resolution. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, it is done. Approved. All right, now we're on to the cases. Let's see. Is that next? Oh, consent docket, sorry. Consent docket cases.
So we have 6 cases on the consent docket. The commission can choose to pull any that you have additional questions about, or we can approve the docket.
Anybody like to pull any of those or comments? Motion for approval of the consent docket?
I move to approve the consent docket.
A second?
Second.
Okay. It's been moved by Ela Frank Clements and seconded by Jeff Parks to approve the consent docket. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It is approved. Now we're on to individual cases. Katie?
HPCA 14-00029 at 434 Northwest 27th Street, Jefferson Park, Ward 2. Consideration and possible action on application of John Roddick by Christy Smith for certificate of appropriateness to 8 replace front door required and 9 construct shed required. The commission has seen this application previously, asked that the proposed front door be modified, and asked for more information and/or revisions to the proposed shed. I think at this time we haven't received any additional information from the applicant. The door no longer has any continuances, so staff's recommending denial. The shed does have, I believe, 1 additional continuance, so we could give them 1 more round on that.
On the shed only, right?
Yes.
Okay. Is the applicant present? No? Any discussion? Motion?
All right. I'll move to deny HPCA 14-00029, item 8, to replace front door with prejudice, and adopt the specific findings found in the staff report.
That'd be item 8.
Item 8.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there a second? Okay, it's been moved by Jeff Parks and seconded by Neela Craig Clements. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Item 8 is denied. Item 9.
I move to continue HPCA 14-00029, item 9, to construct shed to our, what would be the prudent meeting,
I think September. September 3rd.
to the September 3rd meeting.
Okay.
Second.
It's been moved by Jeff Parks and seconded by Jennifer Bourne. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, it's been continued. Item 9. Next case.
HPCA 14-00074 at 600 Northwest 27th Street, Paseo, Ward 2. Consideration and possible action on application of Van and Julie Storm for certificate of appropriateness to 5, replace 7 windows required, and 6, remove door and install window and siding at front, secondary entry door required. The Commission also has seen this application previously. We approved a number of items, but remaining are the windows all around the house, and then the conversion of a door to a window on the front wall of the house. The window that is proposed is, so this is one where the work has been completed, so we're reviewing it after the fact. The window that was installed in the front is a very small window. They have proposed to change that to a larger window that is the same size as one out of a set of 2 elsewhere on the house. Staff is concerned that that window still looks very small for that location on the house, and that either a set of 2 windows or a larger window would be more to scale.
Okay. Is the applicant present?
The applicant is not available today,
Okay.
but they hope that you'll be able to make some recommendations for the project if you cannot approve it.
Say it again. I didn't hear that.
The applicant is not available for the meeting today, but they look forward to any comments that you can
Comments,
make on their
okay.
proposal.
And there are any comments?
Didn't we look at this last time and propose a double window for the front?
I actually don't remember if we specifically said do a double window or just said what's proposed now isn't right and come back with a revision.
Because I remember Alan looking at this around the corner and saying, hey, let's bring that to the front.
Kind of like that. The
Yeah.
front window they put in looks very small, like a
Right.
bathroom.
I mean, I believe they are trying to keep the window within the framing that was once a door, so that's why they don't want to increase the size that much.
Oh.
But that was not a historic door. That was
And I
a
think-
later conversion
Right.
to a duplex.
But that was our recommendation last time they came?
Yeah, I think you asked if there was any indication of the inside of what the size of the opening used to be.
Right, right.
Said
No.
they hadn't seen. No. Right.
Okay.
So they have not provided any other historical documentation of homes in the area that are similar?
No, we collected some photos of other homes in the area, many of which did have, a set of 2 windows on the front, a door, 2 windows. There are homes that don't, but that definitely seemed to be the most common
Prevailing.
design.
Any more comments?
And did we talk about the aluminum clad windows on the front of the house? Did we discuss that last time as being an issue?
I believe the applicant asked about whether or not aluminum clad would be okay, and we said that aluminum clad is allowed. The guidelines say aluminum clad may be appropriate. There are other guidelines that talk about when you're replacing historic windows, you shall match all characteristics, including materials, et cetera. Often the commission has not approved aluminum clad in a location that was visible from the street.
Right. Such as this? Yes. Okay.
Okay. Any more comments? Or a motion?
I move to continue this. HPCA 14-00074, items 5 and 6, to replace windows and to replace door with window, with the specific finding that additional information is required, such as revised front elevation drawing to scale, fully dimensioned, illustrating the relationship of the proposed window to the front facade and the remaining front door. Proposal for alteration to front door and window replacement should be based on documentation of the historic condition or documentation of similar historic structures maintaining historic integrity at front window locations. This additional information is required from the applicant in order to determine whether the action requested is consistent with all relevant guidelines and are in compliance with the relevant sections of the Municipal Code 2010 as referenced in Section D of the staff report.
Second.
Continued to,
Katie, what date do you think?
Angela, you think September? September 3rd.
The September 3rd meeting.
okay?
I second that.
Okay. It's been moved by Neela Craig Clements and seconded by Jennifer Bourne. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, so
How many continuance, is this the second one? This is the second.
it's the last, you get two, right? Structure out.
HPCA 14-00077 at 307 Northwest 25th Street, Jefferson Park, Ward 2. Consideration and possible action on application of Samir and Nahaya Khalil by Samantha Khalil for certificate of appropriateness to 1, install fence required, 2, replace siding required, 3, remove non-historic enclosed porch required, 4, remove non-historic roof form required, 5, replace trim elements required, 6, replace front door required, and 7, install brick columns at front porch elective. Although I think that is probably now required, meaning it's been done. Again, this is an application where the work has already substantially been completed. And they received a notice of violation and applied after the fact. Much of this work could be administratively approved, but we have not been able to obtain the appropriate documentation of that. Some things the commission may be comfortable approving based on photographs of the work, the before and afters of what's been done, or you may feel like it should be continued and the adequate documentation submitted.
Okay.
In particular, I would say we do not have a site plan that shows the location of the fence, so that's absolutely required so that they can get the certificate of appropriateness as well as a fence permit. And then the we don't have anything on what the front door is made of, and we don't have drawings for the porch columns.
Is the applicant present? No? Okay. Any questions?
Yeah, so, I mean, this is a tremendous undertaking, and obviously they pulled off a lot of non-historic things on the house and, you know, are pushing it in what appears to be a good direction. But all the work that they've done, none of that requires a building permit?
Apparently not. Well, I don't know about the porch roof part. That probably needs a building permit, and I'm sure they're working through that process.
Which I guess they didn't get because
Right.
this would have been flagged at
Yeah,
that point, though,
yeah.
right? Okay.
Fence permits required.
Yeah, fence permits required for the fence, which is already there. You can make quite a few changes to a porch without a building permit because it's not
I've
it's
never
not really
tried, so
tied
I don't
into the
know.
house.
but yeah, evidently.
Why don't you go, no. I take that back. You can't do anything without, yeah.
Okay. It's not complicated. Anybody like to take a stab at a motion? Or more questions?
I would move to continue the entire application.
That's easy.
Well, because they have conditions on the approval, to me, they might as well get all of those conditions satisfied along with the additional information needed
Might as well just,
at one time.
you know, hopefully appear.
Katie, is that easier for you guys? Okay. Okay. I move to continue HPCA 14-00077, all items, with the specific Specific finding that additional information is required from the applicant, I'm just going to say as listed in the staff recommendation this time, in order to determine whether the action requested is consistent with all relevant guidelines and are in compliance with the relevant sections of the Municipal Code 2010 as referenced in Section D of the staff report.
Continue to,
Continue to, you want to do September 3rd again? Okay, September 3rd. Second.
all right. It's been moved by Neela Craig Clement, seconded by Jennifer Bourne. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that one's continued also. Next case.
HPCA 14-00101 at 225 Northwest 35th Street, Edgemere Park, Ward 2. Consideration and possible action on application of Zach and Jacqueline Duvall by Mike Rosencutter for certificate of appropriateness to 1, demolish garage, elective, 2, remove garage foundation, elective, 3, remove portion of driveway, elective, 4, remove portion of deck, elective, 5, construct garage, elective, and 6, install paving, elective.
Applicant present? Great. Are there questions for the applicant? Like them to step up? Or? You might as well. We'll probably have some questions on it. If you would sign in also and state your name.
Mike Rosengutter.
Comments?
I assume that's glass on the left side of the garage in those panels, those glass, the windows.
Now, what about it?
Where the photo we're seeing now, that
Yes.
I assume it was glass, right?
That's not glass, that's plexiglass.
Or plexiglass?
Yeah, it's nothing historic to it. The garage door is aluminum.
We did receive some comments from the neighborhood. They noted that the front of the proposed garage, they wanted the front of the proposed garage to be located at the same setback as the front of the existing garage, which the applicant said was an issue with encroaching on the easement at the back of the property. And then the neighborhood also asked that we consider installing, approving a framed panel door rather than raised panel garage door. If the commission agrees with the neighborhood on the issue of the garage door, that's certainly something that we can handle at a staff level as part of an approval.
I think the position of the garage is fairly, it's fairly minor. It's fairly close to where it was originally and isn't all that different from its historic setback. At least, given kind of the location and rhythm of pattern in the garages in this block, it seems pretty minor to me.
Can I make a comment on that? On the position of the garage? I would love to move it back 1 foot if possible, but as you can already see, there's an encroachment on that easement back there. You can't push it back, so we're married to what we have.
Were they aware of that, do you think?
Oh, yeah.
Why would they suggest that?
Pardon?
Why would they suggest that?
I think the neighborhood...
We discussed it in a meeting Sunday, and they suggested it to me, and naturally, that would make pulling into this garage way easier. And I would love to move it back. This is my daughter and son-in-law, and I'd love to move it back if at all possible, but you can't. It's right up against the easement now, and there's a picture up there that shows what I call a little lean-to on the back that's already in that 5-foot easement. And that thing's 6 foot long, and most of it's in the easement. You can't, there it is.
The neighborhood noted that the easement wasn't shown on the site plan, which sometimes that's on a site plan, sometimes it's not, depending on what's submitted. So.
It is shown on survey. It's a standard 5-foot utility easement behind all these houses, actually. It doesn't look like the garage right now is right on top of it, but it looks like it's about 2 feet. Did you say how far the existing garage was, the brick garage, from the easement?
I would guess it might be a foot or two back there.
Maybe it looks like
the one thing I don't want to do is build that thing in that easement.
And your new garage is about 4 feet longer.
Yes.
Yeah. So you definitely would be in the easement.
And then I'd like to make a comment on the garage door. I don't know if that's an issue with you all or not, but I thought I read in 4.4.14 that a raised panel door is acceptable. And there's also one on the next street that just got installed, I'm going to say within the past year.
Well, and I think that we've approved both styles. A lot of times we see what, like your documentation, there's an option for a framed panel garage door that people will also call a panel design, where it's style and rail with a flat panel in the center, and then there's raised panel. So we have seen and approved both. A lot of times the frame panel seems common on kind of more modest garages.
I understand that. And you know, I want to do whatever it takes to get this garage up. Our number one priority is get this other one down. This thing is unsafe. I'm afraid, you know, the neighbors next door have kids. The other neighbors are gone. Don't have to worry about them. But if this thing fell on somebody, my daughter's dog or their dog or child, you know, you just don't want that to happen. So the number one priority is get that thing off the map. And then next, we need to put up something that they can park a garage or park their cars in.
I'd like to ask you a question, is if the new garage would be in the easement or not?
No.
Oh, I
No.
thought it was something about 4
No,
feet.
I'm not going to build anything that's in an easement.
Looking at your drawing, it looks like the back of the new garage is in the same position as the back of the current garage. Is that correct?
Yes, yes.
So it comes about 4 feet closer to the house. And it looks like on your drawings about 20 feet from the house, it will be about 20 feet from the house?
The what is?
The new, front of the new garage will be about 20 feet from the house?
Probably going to be about that. I haven't measured the distance from the house, no. I was just kind of making that north footprint in the exact same spot.
It's marked on that plan, it says 20 foot 5 inches, it looks like, so,
Okay. Yeah, I think that's the concrete that was getting replaced, yes.
okay.
So we might need to take the demolition first, and I noticed, I think our recommended motion combined everything all together, but we typically do a separate motion on demolitions.
Okay, is there a motion or more questions?
I move to approve HPCA 14-00101, item number 1, demolish garage, with the specific finding that the proposed work will have an adverse effect on the historic character of the district or property, but is necessary because of an imminent threat to public health and safety and complies with all relevant guidelines and sections of Municipal Code 2010, as referenced in Section D of the staff report.
Second.
Okay. Moved by Jeff Parks and seconded by Neela Crank Clements. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay. Item 1 is approved. Now on to the new garage.
I don't have a problem with the garage door, and it looks like we allowed in our guidelines the way I read them. So I move to approve HPCA 14-00101, items 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, with the specific findings that the proposed work will not have an adverse effect on the historic character of the district or property and complies with all relevant guidelines and sections of the Municipal Code 2010 as referenced in Section C of the staff report.
Second.
Okay. It's been moved by Neela Craig Clements, seconded by Jennifer Bourne. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. It's all approved.
Thank you very much.
Next item.
HPCA 14-00103 at 1528 Northwest 36th Street, Putnam Heights, Ward 2. Consideration and possible action on application of Brett Streetman for certificate of appropriateness to 1, install flagstone at front, elective. This is obviously work that has been completed. We received some photos from the neighborhood association, and I believe those have been incorporated into the PowerPoint, as well as our own photos.
Okay. Is the applicant present? Would you like to step up, Brett?
I also have additional photos. I didn't know how many of you there were going to be. I apologize. I don't think I got quite enough, but
Okay. Are there any? Could you state your name and sign in?
Brett Streetman.
So is the flagstone set in sand?
It's set in something not permanent, but some other material, like tiny rocks or something like that. That was what they used just to hold them in place.
Sort of so-called real fine gravel kind of. I think I know what you're talking about.
It's not a permanent, whatever it is, because I've already, as you can read in here, I've already moved some of them around to make it less visible from the street, as well as just make it flow more naturally with the slope of the yard.
Staff suggested that this paved area in a similar configuration might be more appropriate in the rear of the property, behind the primary structure. Did you consider that?
I did originally, and there's even for my friends that have small cars, I asked them to try and maneuver around back there, and there's just no room. There's a 2-car garage back there, a fence, and just the house itself just doesn't really lend itself to turning around back there.
Did you have any indication as to when this first flagstone was placed on the property?
I am familiar with the person the previous owner of the property, and he bought it in 2000, and so I was over there during that time as well, and I know that it was there then, and it literally looks like it's been there forever. I don't know if that was the original stone that was used there, but I think you can probably see from some of the pictures at the front of the property, it looks as though it was.
Mm. I'm just trying to look at some other aspect, if it was kind of grandfathered in before HP, possibly. But Putnam Heights was, I believe, the second or third.
Yeah,
District
I think
right after
Putnam Heights has
Heritage.
been a district for a very long time.
Yeah, it was right after Heritage Hills, I think. It was maybe second, so if I recall correctly.
And honestly, I've considered a couple, first of all, I didn't even know this was a violation, so, I apologize, I didn't even know that rock was an issue, but, when I looked at the two next door, I do know that my one neighbor looks like she had concrete added, and now it's like brick and concrete and gravel, and it looks terrible. And then the next door neighbors on the other side, it was well done, but now their front yard looks like a parking lot, and it's all concrete. To me, it's more of an eyesore than if they would have been using a different material. So when you look at it from that aspect, I feel like this is actually a better looking, nicer flowing element.
If you get us those addresses, we can certainly check to see if those were approved or if there are outstanding violations
I'm not
there.
looking to get anybody in
You
trouble.
can do it. You can do it anonymously.
I've given you pictures, and I said they're my
Well,
next door
we'll
neighbors.
take
That's
the
about all I
pictures
want to do
then.
with that.
He's going on record. Where's Greg?
This one is next door to you?
Yeah. Pretty, huh?
Is there anybody who'd like to speak on this from the neighborhood? Okay. Would you like to step forward? I guess you can take the other podium, or what? You can take that podium if you'd like. Don't talk to each other. I need you to state your name and sign.
I'm Suzanne Broadbent. I live at 3625 North McKinley. I've lived in Putnam Heights for 21 years. I'm at the end of the block on which this beautiful house is located. I'm at the corner of Northwest 36th and McKinley. We have a few other folks from Putnam Heights here, John and Diana Case, and Robert Moser, who lives next door to the subject property. Well, we certainly appreciate the staff's recommendation to deny this certificate of appropriateness application. This house is a significant contribution to the architectural and historical value of Putnam Heights. It was built in 1929. I know my time is limited. I'll be very quick. But for those of us who are interested in history as well as architecture, this one combines both. It was designed by Guy Reed, who was a prominent early architecture. He designed the Aldridge Hotel in McAllister, the Gold Star Building at OCU, the Bennett Hall at OSU, and he designed this house for his family. The pictures don't really do it justice, but it is an absolutely lovely house. His wife was from a prominent Choctaw Nation family, Allen Wright. You've heard of the Allen Wright Memorial Library. That was her father. And Muriel Wright, the famous historian, was her sister. And they were very active in social circles here in Oklahoma City. For those of us interested in history, we always like to know the provenance of the house. The house is a beautiful, well-built structure. A lot of detail, ornate ironwork, lovely brickwork. It originally had a clay tile roof. And the cars parked in front of it, and you have those pictures in front of you, which I took on various days during the first and second week of June, just really obscure and detract from the presentation of this beautiful contributing structure to Putnam Heights. Cars parked 4 or 5 feet from the front door of a house just simply are not appropriate under any standards, it seems to me, and just seem actually atrocious and disrespectful. I don't know what pictures that Mr. Streetman has provided. The house next door to him does have an extension on the driveway. I talked with the owner about that. She's lived in the neighborhood since the early 70s. It was that way when she moved in. We got our historic preservation designation ordinance in 1972. We all hate 36th Street, Brett. I bought my house, didn't realize what a horrible thing it was. I fell in love with the house. I think the same thing happened to you. But we all have to deal with it without ruining our property. And that means backing out onto 36th Street in rush hour traffic and waiting for, for it to clear up. I mean, as far as places to park, we all have to deal with that too. We like to entertain, but there's street side parking, and it has to be utilized. And frankly, if you want to block 36th Street with the cars, that's fine with us.
Slow it down a little bit.
Yeah. We don't have much to add here. The staff has laid out quite well the reasons this should be opposed and protested and denied in our opinion. And we hope that through this process, Mr. Streetman, if you don't already realize what a wonderful jewel that you have, and that our neighbors care about our property and yours and our neighborhood, and that's why we're opposing this. I don't have anything else to say, I suppose.
Yeah, thank you. Any questions? Either, or more comments?
I have a couple of comments.
Okay.
While I don't necessarily agree with, I don't know her name, 36th Street is a pain, but I've actually heard somewhere that it's not even legal to back out into oncoming traffic. I wasn't able to verify that before here, but it certainly isn't the safe thing to do. She mentioned the parking situation, and this is not intended to be permanent parking. As you can see from this picture right here, rarely is there a car parked there at all. Permanent parking is utilized. I utilize the driveway in the back, so it's not like there's always a car parked out. So I'm assuming that those pictures that she took were taken very intentionally when she saw that something was there. So I don't like having cars parked in the front either, but it is a useful space to turn around. My yard guy is able to use his trailer and equipment to do it safely again without blocking 36th Street. And you really can't see it from the street anyway. The pictures that staff provided actually show, if you look at them, sometimes, like in this one, I don't know what it's called, but the picture on the top of this page, you can barely even see it's there. So if that's the concern, I've given a couple of options potentially that I would be willing to plant some grass around it or change the shape of it or do something to make it, less noticeable, but it's not an eyesore by any stretch.
Okay. Thank you.
I think one problem is that if it were a new application for concrete, it wouldn't have been allowed, correct? So now we have two problems. We've got whether it was concrete or flagstone, and it's there and it's too wide for a driveway.
we've had situations where people have this is a little larger scale, widened their driveways by placing flagstone or some sort of loose pavers set in sand or something like that, not in concrete or mortar. What's our position on that? When does it become a landscape element? If it's removable, it's not permanent.
Right, we tend to look at how it's set. If somebody just goes and lays down some flagstone pavers to make a little walkway or an edging around a flower bed and they're just set loose on the ground, then we often typically don't even require a CA for that at all, because you could just the next day go up and pick them up and carry them away. Once it starts to be set in a material and becomes a little more permanent, and where if you were to pick it up now, it's going to have left its mark on that area, then that becomes more of a landscape element, something that requires a CA.
But when does it become paving, I guess? Landscape element is different than paving. So is there any rule on that?
It's kind of just looking at how it's being used. We do see cases where people have, like you said, laid something along the edge of their driveway that they have a permanent rut of mud where their tire always goes off every time they pull in and out, and they've laid a little something there. And if it's just a few little loose flagstones, sometimes those are kind of overlooked or they don't need a CA for that. When it gets to be this large of a percentage of the front yard, and like we said, it's somewhat permanently installed, then this starts to look like an expansion of the driveway, and it starts to look like more permanent paving.
It's kind of a judgment call then. Okay. Questions?
I move to deny HPC 14-00103, item 1 with prejudice, with the specific finding that the proposed work will have an adverse effect on the historic character of the district or property, is not consistent with the provisions of the guidelines, and is not in compliance with the relevant sections of the Municipal Code 2010, as referred with in the specific findings, in section B of the staff report.
Second.
Okay. Been moved by Jennifer Bourne and seconded by Neela Clements. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, sorry, that's denied. Okay, I need to abstain from this one. Ann, would you take over?
I will.
You're closest to the middle, so you're nominated.
That's the qualification?
Yeah. HPCA 14-00108 at 209 Northwest 30th Street, Edgemere Park, Ward 2. Consideration and possible action on application of Linda A. Clement by Alan Brown for certificate of appropriateness to 1, demolish vent chimney, elective, 2, construct gable, elective, 3, construct balcony, elective, and 4, install roof window, elective.
All right, staff present. Hi, Linda Clement. Would you sign in, please?
Do you have any comments for the commission?
I do not. Don't crush my dreams. I know Brent, I'm back there going, please be kind. Is it in every other thing, maybe? This one will be good?
Commissioners have any comments or questions? Any other person here to speak on this application?
I will say we had comments from the Neighborhood Association, and they didn't have any objections. Sorry. We had comments from the Neighborhood Association. They had no objections to any items on the application. So.
Any further discussion?
So there's an additional drawing that we also got.
Yes, and that was submitted in time to be in the staff report, and just was a operator error of not getting those materials included with.
Yes, because I had a note that it seemed like it was missing some elevations, and then there they are. Perfect.
Yeah.
Is the balcony dimensions larger on this plan than it is on the site plan? It just looks different because of the laying out of this on the site plan.
Yeah.
I'm Linda's technical advisor, Alan Brown. Do I need to sign in? Am I speaking? I guess I do, right? What's the question again, George?
Just asking you about, because the view that we have on this is different than the site plan. It doesn't seem like the balcony is the same
Should be the
size on
same.
both of these.
It's
but
10
they
feet
are.
wide by 12 feet long. 10 feet wide by 14 feet long.
Right.
Yeah.
That's on the description. Do we have any kind of guidelines as to the size of that proportionately?
No, we don't have anything specific or anything that's like a
Guidelines?
numerical ratio or anything like that. Just that it be compatible.
Any further questions or discussions? Is there a motion?
Why do we need to continue?
So, at least from my perspective, the balcony is a little unusual, but it's also on the back side of the house. So, I don't know that it really plays a huge role in my mind, but I'm curious what others might think. And I understand where staff is coming, what staff is saying, and it's not that I patently disagree with it. I can see some latitude, though, given its location.
What other information would the staff have preferred for the balcony?
We really didn't need any additional information. We were concerned that the footprint of it seemed odd.
Large? Too large?
Maybe square footage wise, not too large, just kind of how narrow and then how far out it projects beyond the house seemed unusual for, usually you see a balcony that's more
Compact, maybe?
more linear along the house.
Not as deep.
I do understand that that's been designed to come out beyond the existing deck so that the existing deck can remain, as well as for the columns to align with windows on the first floor elevation. And I think because it is set in as far as it is from the sides, that's going to help to minimize the visibility of it. Although obviously in a neighboring yard, you'll see it up and above the fence.
But you can't see it from right away. So I think it's does anybody have any? I move to approve HPCA 14-00108, items 1, 2, 3, and 4, with the specific findings that the proposed work will not have an adverse effect on the historic character of the district or property and complies with all the relevant guidelines and sections of the Municipal Code 2010 as referenced in Section C of the staff report.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved by Jennifer Bourne and seconded by George Massey to accept HPCA 14-00108. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
I'm going to interject real quick and ask if you want to strike the recommended finding that the proposed footprint is not compatible.
Yes, I would like to strike that. Okay. I apologize. Roland would be very upset.
Do you second her striking that?
Yes, I do.
The record will reflect that. Okay.
Yay, thank you.
Okay. Okay. HPCA 14-00111 at 415 West Eubanks, Edgemere Park, Ward 2. Oh, this item has been withdrawn, so I don't need to read it. They're not going to be doing that proposed work. Number 8, HPCA 14-00112 at 1006 Northwest 17th Street, Mesta Park, Ward 6. Consideration and possible action on application of Eckroad Investment, LLC, by Matthew McClarty of Bacchus Payne Associates for certificate of appropriateness to 6, convert south set of windows to French doors, elective. 7, enclose south door with brick, elective. 8, replace back concrete steps with concrete patio and steps, elective. 10, convert west side door to window, elective. 13, replace front porch, floor, columns, and roof, elective. 14, replace front walkway, elective. 15, replace front door, elective. 16, reopen non-historic enclosed porch, required. 17, replace porch ceiling and soffit, install ceiling fan, elective. 18, replace side porch door, elective. 19, enclose side porch door, elective. 20, replace driveway, elective. And 21, construct garage, elective.
I need to be recused from this application.
Katie, I'm sorry, did I miss something? Are we skipping number 7?
It's withdrawn.
It was withdrawn.
Yeah,
Okay,
sorry.
thank you.
Okay, is the applicant present?
Yes, sir.
Hello.
Matthew McClarty.
Okay. All right. Any comments or questions?
I can kind of summarize, and then if you want to chime in on anything else.
Go right ahead.
This is obviously a total renovation of the structure. It's a single-family residence that was at some point in time converted to a duplex and is being returned back to a single-family home. The largest, kind of most visible piece of it that has already been initiated is reopening an enclosed side porch. There are 2 doors that lead out to that side porch, one of which they'd like to replace, another of which they would like to enclose the opening. They've proposed altering the front porch, the portico, making it larger. We did have an email exchange about the possibility of that staying the same size. I don't know if you...
I think we're just going to go ahead and keep it the same size. We talked with the owners, and they just want to get going on this. They actually live in Tulsa, and they're med school students, and they're supposed to be starting their jobs soon down here, so
Okay.
they need to get down here. So we're going to...
So we could probably, based on that, continue some items, and then we can work with you for administrative approval of just repair to the existing porch. Other proposed changes are converting a door to a window on the opposite side of the structure from what we're looking at, and enclosing the other door. There's lots of doors on this house. And then changes at the back to put in a set of French doors, remove a single door, and the elevation drawings you have show a deck, but they actually are now just going to do a set of concrete steps up to the French doors and a concrete patio.
Okay.
That item you were talking about is 13? The, yes. Okay. And you're willing to?
Yeah, item number 13, we're just basically what we're going to do with that is just, we're going to renovate and basically restore in place. It's not going to be any changes to that.
So I would say if we could continue item 13 and item 14, if you're going to replace that sidewalk as well.
Correct, yeah, it's all
Okay.
busted up, and the front porch, if you can go to some of the front porch pictures on that, the columns are all coming apart, and right there, you can see at the bottom, it's basically held together by that metal banding strap on there, and they're all split and everything, and so we're gonna go ahead and replace those and everything, and then the roof itself is a rolled roofing material, and you can see where it started to damage the brick and kind of deteriorate that a little bit, so we're going to replace the roofing material on that and actually give it a slope. There's really no slope on it at all, just a little bit of one. And go through there and just kind of replace it, put the paint back there and everything, clean it all up and everything. So we're not going to extend it at all or anything like that.
So I think we could continue 13 and 14, and then staff can work with them to do administrative approval for those items.
along with 18 and 19.
19 is to enclose an existing door on the side elevation, so, sorry, I might have missed that.
Oh, so we're continuing 13, 14, 18.
Oh, so I was thinking I was just thinking of things that we could continue that now could be administratively approved.
Oh, gotcha.
Sorry.
Okay.
Just kind of sectioning those out in my mind of,
And 18 and 19 do not fall into that category.
right, those are ones I think we still need to discuss.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry.
Matthew, so that I will know the historical process, this was purchased as a duplex, right?
Correct.
And then the thought was to convert it to a single family after they purchased it.
Correct.
Right.
The original house was a single family, and it's been boarded up for a long time. I mean, it's just, I mean, you walk it, during the whole process, we wouldn't allow more than 3 people inside at one time. You'd fall through the floor.
I'm sorry?
You'd fall through the floor. I mean, it is a total gut.
Oh.
And so, again, that didn't require a building permit or anything, or?
I know you all were issued a notice of violation where you told
Right.
you needed to get building permits too.
Before I even got on the project, as soon as they started with the windows, then they got the notice and they called me.
Right.
So I started
Okay.
from behind.
That's good.
But anything inside, we haven't started with at all.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's why we're waiting to get this, and then we're getting our permits and stuff on this.
Gotcha. Okay.
So it's a lot of items. I don't know if people want to just go kind of quickly one by one through.
I would appreciate it if Katie would just go through.
Sure. I'll kind of go through and then the applicant can chime in. And we start at number 6 because there were several things that we pulled out to do it as administrative approvals already. On the rear elevation, they're proposing to convert a set of windows to French doors, which would open out onto a set of concrete steps and concrete patio. And we frequently approve those kinds of changes on the rear of the structure. The other proposed change to the rear of the structure was to enclose the south door and just have brick to match the existing brick on the structure and make that opening totally go away. Like I said, there are lots of doors on this structure, and the applicant feels like some of those were added as part of the conversion to a duplex. We do have guidelines about not removing, historic openings. On the rear elevation, there may be, the commission might be more comfortable with enclosing a former door, but I would think, just looking at the footprint of the structure, that was probably the original back door to the house. So that's kind of the back of the structure. On the west side, they would like to convert a side door, which is close to the front of the house, to a window. It's the door shown on the picture here. And, from looking at that one does appear like the opening may have been somewhat altered. There's concrete steps below that door that don't look like they're the same era.
Which door is this?
This is the door on the west side. It's item 10. So I believe we recommended approval for that that item.
That's a door to a window?
Yes. We talked about the work to the front porch, that they're going to modify and retain the existing configuration of the front porch and just replace the sidewalk where it currently is. They propose to replace the front door. The design of the door is different from what's there now, but we don't believe the existing door to be the original door. It's a solid wood 6-panel door, and they'll be just repairing the existing side lights that are there.
Will the door be replaced?
Yes, there's a new door to be. And that's on page 22 of the staff report. On the side porch, they proposed to reopen that, remove the infill that had been put into those openings, and replace the porch ceiling, put in something that's appropriate for it being an outdoor space. And then there are two doors that open out onto or two door openings that open onto the side porch. And they would like to replace one of them, which is a 15-light door, with a wood door with two glazed panels in the top, and then to just brick in the other door opening on the side there. And staff did not feel like that proposed door was appropriate for that location and for the just for the style of the building in general.
And is that door also on page 22?
Yes.
It's the one with the two glazed sections.
Yes, the two little it's a 6-panel door, but the two top panels are glass.
Okay.
Is that number 18?
18.
Yes.
18.
And then 19 is to enclosed side porch door. This is the other door opening on the porch that they would just like to brick in and have the brick match the existing structure. Again, this is an existing opening. It's obviously going to be visible on the side elevation there. So want the commission to consider that as far as whether or not it's appropriate to enclose the opening at all, and if it is, do we want something to remain that tells you there was an opening there at one time, or do we want it to just disappear?
And one door is very close to the front of the house, the other door is further set back. Which door?
The one close to the front, they want to keep that opening, replace the door.
That's the one that gets, they want the new door, the one that's further back is the one they'd like to brick in.
Mm-hmm. And then replace the driveway, construct garage. We can kind of maybe get through the house and then look at the garage.
Okay, perfectly clear, right?
I appreciate the plans are really clear, but how they're corresponding with the report is what's making it difficult. Sorry.
It's all right.
I would just question the side porch doors, because I think it's traditional to have the 15 light doors on porches, and it would seem like to put a solid door there would be...
The only reason why we did that is that's a lead-in right there into their new living room that we're designing for the interior. Still is a lot of foot traffic through that part of the neighborhood right there, and that's the only reason why we did it, for security reasons, just to move the lights up instead of a 15-light door right there.
Right. But to me, it appears a little confusing that it is kind of a front door when it's really not a front door. It's really a side door to the porch.
Yeah, it was just for more for when we're talking to the client and stuff, they said for more security reasons and stuff, because it is into the living room and stuff, spaces are there.
Which door was that, Joe, you're talking about?
The two doors that are on the porch that are open now, and they're wanting to
South?
on the south. They're wanting to enclose one of them, which I would not suggest enclosing that. I would suggest putting the matching doors back like the porch was or is, and that I would also suggest leaving it already has the door right there. It looks like the original 15-light door. I would prefer, it just seemed like that would be the appropriate thing to do, to leave those existing.
Just a comment. Marva Ellard, 1521 North Chartel. I've owned a duplex at 904, 906 Northwest 17th, which is in the block directly east of this since 1996, and it has full light bevel glass doors on the front of it. Nobody's ever tried to break one in, so I don't think it needs to be changed in configuration. So that's just my comment.
I don't have any comments on 6, 7, 8, 10, 15, 16, 17. They look like they follow the guidelines.
More comments?
No, I agree with the comment that I think solid doors under the porch seem odd for an historic property, especially, doors that are very visible like that. So I would agree with those comments. A solid door would not be appropriate in that location.
I agree.
I think the other items recommended for approval, that all makes sense to me. That all feels pretty good. That's how I feel about those.
So the question is, on one of the 15 light doors, that one you see right there is actually, it's nailed into place because it was so deteriorated. So we'll need just a staff approval for 2 new all-wood, true divided light, 15 light doors.
That would be what I would think would follow the guidelines.
And I think that could be approved, and you just submit the specs on the 15 light doors to us.
I'll get that done as soon as possible.
Want to take a stab at the motion?
Before I do, does anyone have any comment on the garage? I didn't see any great issue with it before we get to that.
Was there a reason that the garage is not located on the same plane as the garages on either side, the neighbors' garages?
The garage is located where the existing garage pad is currently right now.
Oh, okay.
So we're basically just going to demo the existing garage pad and put it right back on top of where it's at.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Is hardy plank really preferable over wood for that, for the garage?
Excuse me?
Hardy plank, is that preferable over wood for the garage, real wood?
Well, that's the material that the builder and I selected.
You mentioned that the new garage is on the pad of the old garage, but the new garage looks wider than the old garage.
We provided there was no door on the side door for the old garage, so what we did is we just extended it out for one door.
So you're also increasing the pad?
Just to the west.
You're reusing the old and adding on to the pad?
Excuse me?
You're reusing the existing pad and adding...
We're going to demo the old pad, but it's going to sit right on the
foot.
it's going to sit basically on the old pad's footprint, but just a little bit to the west. So
I thought you just said you're going to reuse the old existing pad.
no, because the old pad, it's got cracks all through it and everything. Yeah, it's all deteriorated.
How much bigger is the new garage?
I do believe it only goes out not even 4 more feet maybe to the west. That's it. Just enough for a door.
A door.
Is there a plan of the garage in here? Is it, keep going.
30.
Okay. There it is. It's pretty big, 25 by 25. It's real big. I'd like to have that garage. You don't know the size of the existing garage?
The existing garage was, is there an existing site plan on there?
So on the existing site plan, it doesn't show the dimensions. It is about the same,
Length.
let's see.
It's similar in length.
It's similar in length. The width is kind of equal with the driveway at that point in the backyard. Let me see if you can.
Looks like it's about 5 or 6 feet wider.
So it's a little wider, but that additional width is behind the main house. It's
Right.
not visible from
Yeah, we did.
the street.
Right.
Right.
West,
Yeah.
we didn't do anything to the east at all.
Katie, are you saying that staff could approve 13, 14, and 18 and 19?
13 and 14, we, based on the changes that they want to make to what's proposed, that it'll just be basically a repair of the
Okay.
existing step, we can administratively approve that. 18 and 19 would need to be approved by the commission with conditions
Okay.
relating to the using 15 light doors in both openings.
Okay.
All right, well, we'll get a big chunk of them out of the way if everyone's ready. I would move to approve HPCA 14-00112, items 6, 8, 10, 15, 16, and 17, 20, and 21, with the findings found in Section C of the staff report.
Okay?
Second.
All right. It's been moved by Jeff Parks and second by Jennifer Bourne. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Those items are approved.
13 and 14, we're going to continue, and they're going to work with staff on the front porch. So I move to continue HPCA 14-00112, items 13 and 14 to the, does it really matter in this case? Or?
I would go ahead and say September,
September.
so we don't have to put them on an August agenda.
Very good.
if
To
we're
the
not quite
September
there yet.
3rd meeting.
Second.
All right. It's been moved, excuse me, been moved by Jeffrey Parks and seconded by Ann Zachrich. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, so those two are continued. 3 left.
I think we talked about 18 and 19 being, Rita, you can weigh in on this if you think this is okay. Since 19 is to enclose side porch door, if we approved those items with the condition that it be, the door, rather than being enclosed, be replaced with a 15-light door. That the condition is basically to do the opposite of what they said.
Not really a condition. Just change the application altogether.
15 light to match existing.
Deny. I think we have to deny 19.
So if we deny
he's gonna
19, can they
do-
come back to you?
So what I think we actually could do is also continue 19, and we can administratively improve the installation of a door.
But we don't have to say specifically that we would want, we're just denying what it is.
Well, just continue it, and then they can revise that item, and we'll work that one out.
So 19 and 7 are similar?
18.
Because there's 7 enclosed south door.
Yes, those are similar proposals.
Okay, but they're not
We haven't
the
really talked
same
about
door.
7 yet. No, it's
Okay.
2 different doors.
Okay.
Discussion?
Katie, does that mean we should continue 18 and 19 because the specs they gave us for the porch door they wanted to keep?
Sure, we can do that. We can
Okay.
continue those 2, and then we'll do an administrative approval for the appropriate doors.
Okay, then I will continue to the September 3rd meeting, number 18 and 19 on HPCA-14-00112.
Second.
Okay. Moved by Heather Clymer and seconded by Jennifer Bourne. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, 18, 19 are continued. And it loses 7. Lucky 7.
I thought 7 had been struck.
So we have,
South door.
right.
And we move from enclosing it.
Well, we haven't discussed whether or not to enclose that one. We discussed whether or not to enclose the door on the side porch, but there's a back door on the rear of the structure, and I don't think we had come to a decision on whether or not to approve enclosing that.
That one right there.
Yes, that door.
That door right there would be enclosed, the windows, the double set of windows off to the right-hand side of the frame, those will actually become the French doors that will lead out from the kitchen, or excuse me, from the dining room. Where this door is right there, that would be part of the kitchen. They want to enclose that door.
Kate, did you say you believed it to be an historic door open?
You know, I would think, just looking at, well, 1, looking at the footprint of the house, and 2, looking at the other openings that are on the back, I would think that was the original back door. I mean, usually you had a door on the back of the structure somewhere, and it doesn't look like there's another opening that has been converted or altered. The brickwork above the door is pretty consistent in other locations on the house. So it doesn't seem like an addition of a later opening. And I don't know if there's evidence on the interior of the structure that makes you think it's not an original door.
No.
I've been looking at it, and I see looks like the head height of that door is not the same height as the head height of the window, which makes me think it isn't. I'm not sure. I don't know what the head height is. Plus, it looks like a soldier course above that door and above the windows. Has not the detail. It's just a regular running bond. So it does look different to me.
There is a soldier course like that above other doors.
Oh, above doors, okay.
We just approved converting windows to French doors on the back. We frequently approve changes to doors and windows on the back of structures. So the commission may feel like this is the rear, this is not going to be visible except from their backyard.
I'm looking at the other porch. It does look like there's a soldier above.
I agree that it follows the guidelines to take the door out. It's been approved before.
That was basically because it's on the rear of the house.
It's on the rear of the house.
And just to finish my comment, it does look like if you look at the side porch, the door that we were just talking about, the head height of that is not the same as the window either, so maybe that was what they did. Anyhow, go ahead.
So Matthew, that is the whole, that's the kitchen behind that whole wall there?
Yes, sir.
So there may be a deck or something on that for the French doors, right, or something like that?
What they're going to do is we're going to put a set of French doors in there off to the right, and that's where they'll have a couple steps down from there, and they'll come out to the deck and stuff from there.
That's on page 12. I mean, we're all looking at the same one, right?
Well, that's what Jennifer and I were down here discussing, because on page 12, it looks like the French doors are going That's not where the French doors are going.
They're on the far right side of that.
All right, right.
Far, like falling off the edge of the photo.
Off the gate, okay, not the two that are right there next to the door. Okay.
Not immediately to the right of the door, but way
Okay,
over. Yeah.
okay.
And you knew that, I mean, is that what you were thinking too, Alan? You were seeing that the French doors were on the other wall, not on the wall next to the door that they're taking out, correct?
Right.
Okay. That's what we were discussing. We misunderstood you.
Over there, right.
Matthew, I think there's two distinct advantages here because we're eliminating a duplex that never existed and we're getting a single-family house, which was there.
Yeah.
It's fabulous.
Yep. Okay. One down, one more.
Katie, could you list for a final time which items are left?
I think we are down to just item 7.
7.
It's just that one. Yep, sorry.
One item. Item 7.
I move to approve HPCA 14-00112, item 7, with the specific finding that the rear of the structure is the most appropriate location for alterations and new landscape elements, which includes this door alteration. And that the work will not have an adverse effect on the historic character of the district or property and complies with all relevant guidelines and sections of the Municipal Code 2010 as referenced in Section C of the staff report.
Second.
Okay. It's been moved by Jennifer Boer and seconded by Heather Clemmer. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, approved.
All right.
And I will get with you very soon on the administrative items and the things that have been continued, so we'll get everything
All right.
cleared away.
Well, thank you, guys. Have a wonderful day.
Okay.
HPCA 14-00116 at 301 Northwest 22nd Street, Mesta Park, Ward 6. Consideration and possible action on application of McCaleb Homes by David Knox for certificate of appropriateness to 1, construct dwelling elective, 2, construct garage elective, 3, install driveways elective, 4, install sidewalks elective, 5, install mechanical equipment elective, and 6, construct fence elective. We did have comments from the Neighborhood Association that I believe just said they agreed with the staff report, and then we had a letter that was submitted that is unsigned that you should have at your seat going into some more detail about elements of the proposal that they objected to.
Okay, is the applicant present? Yes. Okay, would you want to come up? I'm sure there'll be questions. Bill?
Good afternoon. I'm Caleb McCaleb with McCaleb Homes.
Okay. You sign in, please.
Oops.
All right. Did Jeff? Let's take a break. Restaurant. Only got 2 more.
I will just note a couple of things. One is that, from what we can tell, there's never been a structure on this site, so nothing's been demolished here. They're not replacing something. And we have back here a sample of the proposed trim material. We frequently see hardy plank lap siding for new structures, and we're starting to see some applications to also use hardy board trim pieces, and just wanted the commission to get to see those in person. It is a different dimension than typical wood trim that we see. And so I'll kind of pass that down the row.
Okay. Yeah. Questions?
I can maybe go through some of the comments on the letter that we received. I don't know that everyone had a lot of time to read through that. I don't know, have you seen a copy of the
I have not seen the letter.
Okay. You want? And I'm just going to kind of summarize well, I'll read it while everyone's looking through, because I can't summarize it on the spot. It says, I am a resident of Mesta Park, writing to share my critiques of the proposed structure for 301 Northwest 22nd. The structure should not be approved with its current design because it would be disharmonious with nearby bungalows and visually disruptive to the neighborhood. The multi-depth porch varying front of the porch roof and the staggered columns, 3 rows, are atypical for the bungalow style and are dissimilar to the same features on neighboring structures. The building's presence on a corner lot will make these features very noticeable. The features would be disruptive to the harmony of the existing bungalow craftsman style in the area. The building should not be permitted with these features. The issues could be remedied by having a single front for the porch roof, bringing the columns in a line. The roof pattern, partially a result of the floor plan, is very complicated and very dislike the roof patterns on bungalow homes. Bungalow roofs in the area are hips, gables, or a simple combination of the 2 styles, sometimes including dormers. The planned roof is very complicated when viewed from the southeast, south, and northeast. The applicant should consolidate and simplify the roof sections. This may help with item 1. The roof overhang appears too shallow. A dimension was not readily found on the plans in the application. Bungalows have deep overhangs to provide shade for the windows. The overhang should be 18 inches, but 24 may be more historically appropriate. Proposed stone on the columns is not historical and is in disagreement with the column materials on neighboring structures. Craftsman-style homes in the area have brick columns. If HP guidelines allow for non-brick materials in the columns, HP could encourage the applicant to use a non-brick material that was historically used in craftsman homes, such as round stones common on bungalows in California. The proposed stone columns on the top of the brick stem wall is a mix of too many materials in close proximity. One of the materials is non-historical. The columns should be brick to simplify the design and to be in harmony with neighboring structures. The top of the columns appear too narrow compared to area bungalows with a wood column on top of a brick base. There's not a trim piece between the pair of windows on the west side of the south elevation. There should be a piece of trim between windows. South elevation does not have enough windows. Craftsman homes were designed to maximize light intake. New construction homes should have abundant windows from the street view. A south-facing window should be placed on one or both of the two westward extensions from the house. This would make the house's front elevation more congruous with neighboring homes. Divided light pattern on the front windows may not be typical to a bungalow home in the area, and the entire south-facing foundation should be the same material. Currently, it's proposed to be concrete and brick.
Just kind of point of order, I'm not know if I'm real comfortable with anonymous letters. So,
There's no credence to it.
yeah.
Is the person that wrote this in attendance today?
So, it's good information, but I just feel like if somebody's going to propose an application, they ought to, at least I'll know who they are, and if they can't come.
Rita, do you have a thought? I haven't had someone come in with an anonymous letter before, and so, we didn't turn them away.
Well, any information you receive, whether it's signed or not signed, or if it's in person or however you get it, you're the ones who decide how much weight to give it. So you can personally decide whether that's...
How do we receive it?
Was this emailed to us? Okay, it came via email.
Would there be an email address?
Well, I don't know if I think they emailed it to Angela. I didn't see what the actual email address was. It may have been,
Well, I just don't feel comfortable with it, especially it's long and so specific. And I don't know if I would have read it, but,
Well, I think since it wasn't requested to be anonymous, you could have gone ahead and printed the email, and if there was a name on it, included that. I mean...
The actual email itself, yeah.
Right. I don't think that, unless it was requested.
They specifically didn't want their name attached on it for their own reasons, so.
Well, then that changes it a little bit, because if you know who it is, the person doesn't have any expectation of privacy when they submit something to a public body. So had you, you could have told them, well, no, we don't get to do that. Once you submit it, it's a matter of open record, so they could withdraw it. But if they insisted on the letter being presented, the rest of it would go with it.
We can discuss anonymity further at a separate time and come up with a good way to handle those.
Okay, any comments? Besides on a mysterious letter?
Ask the applicant a question?
Sure.
When you were doing the design for the project and you looked at all of the other houses in the neighborhood and the sizes, how did you come up with going forward with such a much larger project than typical in the neighborhood?
Well, our home is actually 2,094 square feet, so we didn't feel like it was oversized. If you look at the house next to us, the house next to us is actually taller than we are. And it's a Craftsman bungalow also. The one thing that makes our house a little bit wider is your typical historical lot is two 25-foot lots, 50-foot wide. This particular home site is 68-foot wide, plus another 15 feet of street easement. So we felt like we'd go a little wider with the porte-cochere on the side and with the garage in the back coming off of Harvey.
Okay.
And it's I don't mean to interrupt, it's always our goal to try to match what's on the street. 22nd Street, it just has a lot of variation. You have Tudors and you have Craftsman. It's a lot of variety on that street.
I agree. I know that the staff commented on the porch. Do you have any, what was your feeling on that after they commented on
The width?
the width and the depth as far as matching?
If you all can flip over to your the floor plan, I'm not sure what page that is.
Page
and
7?
I'm sorry.
Page 7.
The actual front of the house that doesn't have covered patio, there's 9 feet of area in the front that didn't have covered patio. The thing we get into, if it ran straight across, is it would create dead valleys. And if you look at a lot of the craftsman bungalows, they do have the gables sticking out at different depths.
Right.
We actually had 5 meetings with the ladies here at the HP. We've changed our floor plans 3 separate times. They felt like they wanted the porch deeper on the front. They wanted the porch smaller on the back. We made those changes. That 9 feet, I think, was the problem. Is we just couldn't make it work with the dead valleys and the hips.
Okay. Because I think what maybe people are concerned about is when you look at the east elevation and then you look at the porch and you see that the columns don't line up, that maybe is what is the, well, east and west both. That would be.
Do you mind if I get my big plans out?
Go right ahead.
Okay, I know everything on those. So what you're saying is bring all those 4 front porches out to...
I'm just saying, I think
Even.
that I'm not maybe making a suggestion. I'm just saying, I think when that some of the comments are going to come from those being not in, not, that's kind of a dissimilar to maybe others in the neighborhood, that if you look down the street, that most times the columns are, more symmetrical and lined up. That's just my comment on the porch.
Can I bring Ford up here, because he's on that front porch, so we've worked on that several times.
Very good, thank you.
Hi, I'm Ford Duncan. I need to sign in here. So, in reference to what you were talking about on the columns, on that east and west elevation, from my experience, that's something that you notice really well on the plans. When you're standing there in real life, you don't notice as much.
Well, I'm looking at the elevation.
Right, on
So
NC.
I'm saying, when it's, and particularly since it's on a corner lot and you're driving around the corner and then you're seeing that porch.
Sure.
I'm just saying, I think that there's, and looking at what, staff's comments and other, after looking at it myself, that.
Sure. The reason those don't line up is just because of the way they support the roof line. You've got the 2 in the front that kind of center on the front door.
Right.
And then the roof line pulls back just a little bit and goes and supports the main gable of the house, or on the front. And then, we created that additional porch area on the front of the house. And that, you've got a hip roof that goes down to that. And that supports that corner. If we were to line all of those up, it would change the whole elevation of the house because the roof wouldn't be able to be the same. I'm not saying that it can't be done. I'm just saying it would change everything. So,
I would again ask, when you were thinking about designing the roof, do you think that was there, as far as compared to other roof lines in the neighborhood, do you feel like that you achieved compatibility as far as the look of it and the size?
I would say, when we met with Angela, she wanted for us to do hip roofs as much as possible and have a couple gables come out the front. So basically, when I was designing the roof, I was going over, okay, we're going to make this roof as minimal as possible and do hips, and then just have a couple gables in the front for the elevation. So really, the shape of the roof was kind of dictated by the footprint of the house. We feel like, as far as the historical craftsmen, the examples that we had, we did the hips on the sides, except for where we had the two gables stick out for architectural interest on the, it would be the west elevation. So other than that, we tried to go as minimal as possible except for the elevation, so at the front elevation, to create some interest.
And I think part of that is the house we did on Northwest 19th, we had really good reviews on from people in the neighborhood. The only thing that we did have negative on was that some people felt like the roof was too tall, and I think some of that had to deal with our tall gables over there. So we tried to go back to the hips on here to get rid of those high gables.
My opinion I think you're right, the hip with the gables in entry areas, it looks fine. The looks a little complex. I think you could line those columns up in front of Joe was talking about without changing the elevation. Really, it just pulls that hip out forward so those columns line up. You really don't see stair-step columns like that. They usually line up. So I agree with Joe on that. I think it could be done. Is there a porch behind that low brick wall? Is there a porch there?
Are you referring to the...
Looking at the front elevation, there's the entrance, then there's that low brick.
Yeah, where you see the brick is on the face of the, how we did on 19th is we did brick on the face of the stem wall.
That's on the stem wall, okay.
Yeah.
So that's just a stem wall.
2 foot tall.
It's a porch, though.
But it is a concrete porch that starts out,
It just keeps stepping back.
gets narrower as it goes to the, right, I was just asking what it was. It doesn't really say it's a porch.
The roof's going to be different.
So that's a concrete slab.
Yes, it's a 4-inch concrete slab that's even.
Well, that could be pulled out, and it could be straight as most of the other porches are. Would you call it a single porch in your comments?
You're right. The porch could definitely, as far as the concrete goes, could definitely be pulled out.
The columns too, the whole thing. You could line those columns up and pull the roof with it. It wouldn't change it that much. You can say it would change your whole roof plan. I don't think it would.
I mean, we'd be willing to make that change.
Okay. I'm just pointing out, I agree with that comment. So, how about that, Ann?
I think my comment would be on how much of the plan fills the frontage of the lot. Staff has commented that it seems to be much larger than surrounding properties. I know that staff did a survey and got the interior square footage average of surrounding properties, but I wonder, adjacent corner lots, are those also a 68-foot frontage?
They are, but staff did not survey the square footage. We surveyed the footprints, only that's on the ground.
Okay.
So despite the fact that the house next door is, nearly 3,000 square feet, there's only so much of it that we looked at on the ground.
I guess I would want to see with those adjacent corner lots that are 68-foot frontage, if that's what they are, what is the square footage?
Total square footage or square feet on the ground to match?
Square feet on the
proposed
ground.
house? It's in there for the multifamily at the far end of the property, and the rest was done as an average. The corner houses were not dramatically larger than the other houses on the block as far as footprint. I can look it up in the staff report for the multifamily for you.
Okay.
Caleb, do you remember if we had an elevation of the house to the east on 19th Street when we looked at that? Because I don't remember seeing an elevation of
We had a photoshopped
version of it?
version of a picture of the street and then
What
the
those two
elevation of the proposed house kind of set into the photo,
Okay.
as opposed to this where it's a drawing. Yeah, we felt like after the fact that wasn't the most accurate way to evaluate that. So we have been asking applicants for new construction to provide drawings like what you have there.
Because this really helps to see this. It doesn't look as tall as you think it would. 19th ended up looking taller than we thought it would, to me anyway.
And to us, too. I mean, we actually went out there with Angela and measured the house. Ford crawled on top of the roof, and we measured the roof from all the way down, and it matched the plans exactly.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it was taller than we had expected, and so that's when Katie and Angela had changed. They wanted it, I guess, more scientific than the Photoshop, and you can see we're actually shorter than the house next door.
What about, just a final roof question, the one that you're measuring it next to is really almost a two-story house. So how would you say the roof measures up compared to the other one-story houses on the block? Is it a considerably higher peak?
Sure. Our roof that we did is a 612 pitch.
Was that similar to the other houses?
The house next door, it's hard to say for sure without climbing on the roof, which I wasn't going to do. But it looked to me that it was a 312. So it's a 1.5 story. So, the roof pitch really makes it considerably shorter, I guess you would say, the roof. But across the street, you have a Tudor home that is probably a 14 or 16 pitch.
But the one that you're kind of going after is the bungalow.
Right.
So I think that, and that's just that would be my comment, is that, if you had roof problems the other time, it came out bigger than people thought.
Sure,
and so,
yeah. And we're not trying to recreate what we've done in Edmond, but we use a 612 roof pitch in Edmond on our bungalow series there, and it looks fine.
But I think that's what would be my opinion, is that we just would not. We don't want the roof to be a defining feature here, particularly when you've got such a large property and so many features on it, and then the different materials and everything that just don't want it to stand out.
I know we're going to have to redesign the roof with the pillars anyway if we dropped it to like a 512.
I think any drop would, in my opinion, would be a good decision.
The problem we get into, underneath 5, we get ice damming. With the weather here, it backs up underneath the shingles. But, we could drop it to a 512. We're going to have to redo the porch anyway.
So, I'm not suggesting that. I'm just saying that the appearance of the roof, I think, becomes a big part of the new construction. When it's nice and shiny, for whatever reason, it seems like on the new construction projects, the roof becomes a kind of a
Headlight.
Headlight, yes.
Is that the word you're looking for?
Thank you.
Any more comments? I know there's got to be some. You guys are talking.
What about the dead-end portico on the side of the street side of the house? That seems like an odd feature to me. It seems like sometimes it would drive, they always drive through, and it seems like I don't remember seeing one that fronts a side street like that. If it's got a portico, it's either an inline house or it's on the non-street side if it's a corner lot, at least in my mind, but I'm trying to think of a precedent for that.
I wish I had a good reason for you other than the homeowners wanted it that way. No, that's not a good answer. They wanted to have the access off of Harvey there, and they wanted the portico to come in. If it's a deal killer, we need to go ahead and fence all the way down Harvey and then bring the portico. That's something I would just have to ask them.
At least from my perspective, that's kind of an odd thing. I don't know how the rest of the commission feels about that. But
I think I've seen a drive and a portico on the street side like that. I'm thinking of some Heritage Hill larger, but usually it does go back to the garage. Though.
Right. I don't remember one that dead ends particularly. And whether it's on the street side of a corner, I can't think of one. Maybe that exists, but definitely I can't think of one that dead ends into what really is just a carport then on the side of the house instead of an authentic portico.
I can't think of one either.
You cannot?
That's an easy fix. Just move the garage over, right?
Do they need a portico?
leave the porte-cochere there and then just move the,
No, just leave the garage, but they want the porte-cochere, is what you're
Yeah.
saying.
or let me ask you a question. What if we move the garage a little to the west and have that driveway through the porte-cochere come all the way through, straight into the garage?
Better?
Better, but not best?
Yeah.
So there would be no entrance off
Harvey?
Harvey?
I think the problem we get into is that you guys and neither of us want dual garage doors, right? So we have to decide whether it's going to come off Harvey or if it's going to come off of 22nd. Our preference, I'm going to have to lose one or the other, right? I mean,
I don't know. My opinion, when you have a corner lot like this, normally it seems like people take advantage of that, and they have a shorter driveway and have a back rear garage, and they would not have another driveway coming from the front. So really the extra thing that's on the corner is that front driveway and the porte-cochere.
And removing that porte-cochere would also reduce the frontage of the width of the house, which is a staff concern.
But this lot is about 17 feet wider than normal?
it's 18 foot wider than normal plus another 15 feet where the city sidewalks are.
Plus the city sidewalk.
Huh?
Plus the citywide sidewalk.
Right, you got the 15-foot right-of-way there. So in comparison, it's really, almost 73 feet, 83 feet wide versus a 50-foot wide lot.
No. This width of the home doesn't really strike me as a bad thing myself, with the porte-cochere.
With it, yeah, it's a wider lot than normal.
Yeah, to me. I defer to Jeffrey and Jennifer. And
Right, yeah, I don't know that the element itself is really a huge thing for me. I know a lot of the rest of the commission has issue perhaps about the size of the house. I don't know that the porte-cochere itself feels like an odd feature. It's a common feature in houses in the district. It's the fact that it's a dead end that is particularly odd to me. Oftentimes on corner lots, you do see the garage facing the side street with a short driveway. Not always, sometimes though. So I think if you want the porte-cochere, it needs to keep on driving through. I don't know that it has to come off, at least from my perspective.
Would you be okay if we just scooted the garage to the west so we can line up the driveway through the porte-cochere and into the garage, and then take my entrance of Harvey off of the
I think that seems like an okay thing to do.
You think what, Jeffrey? I'm sorry.
That it seems like an okay thing to do to reorient the garage where it in essence faces 22nd Street. The driveway goes straight through the porte-cochere like you would typically see usually on an inline lot. The drive goes under the porte-cochere and then back to the back of the property and into the garage. That way the sidewall of the garage is now facing Harvey instead of the
Like
garage
90%
door.
of the houses.
Right.
And part of this application is a fence along Harvey, too. So we would just continue the fence instead of having that opening there.
Right.
So the garage would be turned.
Well, basically, we're going to scoot the garage to the east and then put the garage doors facing south. And then the driveway would come through the porte-cochere into the two-car garage.
Straight back to the garage.
Right.
Normal.
Well, it could be, if you wanted to present it to your client, maybe it would be either or. I think we would be happy either or. No porte-cochere and no driveway on the front or the side.
I think the porte-cochere is very important to her.
That's just my opinion. Either way, but just
Not both.
Is that a lot of concrete?
It's a lot
Ben?
more cost.
it's a long drive.
I've got a question. In this neighborhood, just missed them. Do they do the strips, instead of solid concrete drives? Is that appropriate?
We allow it anywhere.
Yeah.
Okay. That's an option, too.
Oops, sorry.
You don't want so much concrete.
What do they call this? Not strips.
I don't know what you call
It's his name for that.
Ribbon driveway.
it. A ribbon, okay.
One thing we did count from Walker to Harvey and from 20th, 22nd Street, there are 32 homes with portico shares on them.
Are they one-story or two-story?
A combination. Yeah, we have pictures of, and from, I mean, and lots of different historical styles too.
Anything else?
Have we allowed king-size brick before?
Brick?
Brick, king-size brick? I noticed that, so the brick on the house that I guess will be on the front of the porch is proposed to be king-size, is that true?
10-inch brick, yeah, we did it on 19th, it was approved.
Okay. I'm sad to hear that. I don't remember that.
Again, that's not a big change for us.
It throws the scale off of the house. You know, it's one thing if it's a big shopping center or something.
Right. I mean, the company we buy from we can do the same brick in Queen.
Is that regular, like modular?
It's a modular sized brick.
Anything else?
Caleb, this is just a curiosity question I have to ask. Has this process given you any other insights into other newer homes in Edmond, other areas that you may change or alter in the way you're designing those homes?
Yeah,
'cause they're great. They're wonderful homes.
Well, I mean, the thing that has been probably the most popular thing for us is after our 19th Street house, we thought we were going to have problems with the detached garage, right? Because everybody, no, you can't sell a detached garage. So we went back and redesigned a bunch of our plans and we went to the City of Edmond and got a variance now. And they're letting me go to 10 foot on the back of, I got a new neighborhood called Town Square where it's all historical. It's Mission, that Jewel Box Tudor, and then the Craftsman. And they're letting us do detached garages there, which people are eating up because it takes that ugly garage off the front of the house. So, I mean, yeah, I mean, this has been I mean, I told you guys last time we were here a year ago, this is a learning curve for us, but, I mean, we're students of it. And it's been, I mean, I know we look aggravated, we're not, we've actually enjoyed the process. So.
I want to chime in that it's definitely been a learning curve for us, too. I think we've had a lot of new construction in a very short amount of time, and so each time we get one document, it makes us realize we need about 3 more documents. So I know you probably feel like you hear from us about 14 times a day, and then we've still got questions in the staff report, and I'm sure that can be frustrating, but it is in an effort to get the best possible,
No, I mean, it's been you guys have been great with us. I mean, it's a lot of meetings and a lot of changes, but I mean, it's when we first started, and this is just my little opinion. When I first started in this process a year ago, I'm like, this is so messed up. I mean, I really did. I walked out of this process, but after being through it, I understand how it saves the value. I mean, I've seen stuff that was grandfathered. I'm like going, good gosh, how did that get in here, right? So, I mean, now I appreciate the process of it, but...
Oh, right, let's write that down.
I mean, you sit in these commissions, you hear people that are frustrated with it, but I get it now. It took me a year to get it, but I get it now.
If it assists your appreciation like it has in HP, everyone in Edmond will be very happy.
Yeah, I mean, and the process, it just takes longer, I mean, people are always like, well, you just got to, you can just go and get a permit, and this is just, I tell people when we're going to build a house, add 6 months to it. I mean, it's just a process. So.
I think the one other thing staff had some questions about was kind of the wall sections, the trim details. We passed around the sample of the Hardie trim that, a lot of times we'll see proposals to use Hardie plank siding and then wood trim. So that may just be something to clarify how we feel about that.
Can I clarify that real quick? That piece that you have is siding. We generally use a 1x4 wood trim. So I just wanted to make sure, just to clarify. So that probably wouldn't look very good as trim. So
That was my,
you're right.
Good, yeah.
that was my question. So all of the trim will be regular,
Yeah, all the trim will be a 1x4 wood trim. So
are you saying wood, or are you saying it will be the hardy plank?
the siding will be the hardy plank, the 1x8 smooth concrete siding, or
Yes.
and then the trim that we use is a 1x4 wood. So
And then what was the wood on the columns?
the wood on the columns is cedar.
With what kind of finish? A smooth finish?
It's a smooth finish, and we typically will paint those.
Okay.
And some of the comments from the staff about, or maybe actually this letter had a couple of good ideas. Like, for example, the California bungalow stone, we've been doing some of that round stone up there. So that's something I walked away from where we need to sell these homeowners on doing that round stone or going to brick. I agree. I don't like that square. I think it looks too new home looking for columns. So, I mean, those kind of changes, if you want to make those kind of changes, our agreement's based on your all's approval. So, I mean, it's not like they're going to say, oh, gosh, I'm not going to do that. I mean, that's not really a choice.
Appreciate your flexibility. I have a couple of questions on the site plan. We haven't talked about that at all, and that's the staff brought up. One was the public sidewalk. I was looking at that too. It has a site plan, just shows a small, connection to the driveway. There is a public sidewalk, I assume.
Yeah, so basically when we're pouring our concrete in the HP, that we have a certain color add that we add to the trucks, and we pour, a 4-foot wide city sidewalk, and we tie in. Now what we'll do, the old, where the subway comes in right there, we'll actually tear out the old sidewalk that's there. Because there's chunks missing, pieces missing, and we'll pour all the way around that a new. It's an old color, but it's a new sidewalk.
I think the city sidewalks are. We just talked about it a little bit ago. I think they're 5 feet. But so are you going to have a sidewalk coming from the front porch to the new public sidewalk? I think that's in the staff report.
We certainly can. I think what you're talking about is where it comes off of the front porch and connects into the driveway. It's no big deal for us to change and take it out to the street if that's what you
typical,
prefer.
yeah. And it's so close to the driveway, it might want to be a curve or something, which you see a lot. Sort of a, that's curved. No? So you would just take it out straight?
I mean, are there no sidewalks like that? Because in our neighborhood, we don't have sidewalks to the street. We do have them. It connects to the driveway.
Yeah.
So I didn't know if on that street, because like he was saying, there's a multitude of styles and types on 22nd.
Yeah, that's why I asked if there's a public sidewalk, and there is. They're going to replace it, though, but there is a public sidewalk.
No, I mean the one from the front door to the sidewalk, straight.
Yeah, there are on that block.
They're all straight?
And Post-Domestic Park from the front porch to the public sidewalk.
So if you take it out straight, there'd be like a 3-foot street.
I know.
Okay. I'm not opposed to it. Looks like most of them are straight.
I don't like the Portico Drive, so I've been out there on that one. But yeah, it ends up being a lot of concrete right in front. I have a question about the fence. I don't see a photograph or anything, or maybe I'm missing it. I'm looking through a lot of stuff. The
Okay.
fence that you're proposing? I know where it is, but I don't know what it looks like.
It's going to look just like the existing fence that's basically that picture right there. We were just going to match because we felt that would be in character with the neighborhood.
Okay,
6-foot-tall natural cedar.
Yeah, and I saw that. It's just, if it's going to be adjusted for,
I think what the adjustment was, we're going to keep the 8-foot, backing up the subway and do 6-foot on the side street.
okay.
If you turn the garage so that you don't have the dead-end drive under the porte cochere, where will the fence end? How will it change?
What we'll do is, the existing fence is just past the property line, just barely onto the right-of-way. So we would just continue that back to, I think it's already there, actually. We were going to have to take part of it out for the entry off of Harvey. So we would just leave that fence. There is an existing gate there that, if I recall correctly, it was like a see-through bar-type gate. We would probably get rid of that and just add on continuous fence there.
So what about the fence that goes from that side fence to the house, east-west? Because you have it ending
Well, yeah,
at the dead end.
that would have to be eliminated because
Right.
the drive would go back to the garage.
Is that still on the south end where you would end the fence?
I'm sorry. Yeah, you would probably, you'd have to have a fence there because our clients have dogs and they don't want them to get out.
You'd have to have are you going to do the long driveway, you think?
From what I'm gathering, that's what we're
And then
needing
you'll
to do.
Yeah, then you'll have to have a gate there, I guess.
Yeah, we would have to have some sort of gate or something on probably the rear side of the porte cochere. We would have to get a design and submit that, I guess.
The other thing that we've done with these detached garages is back from the very, where it says the back porch area to the garage, we've done some wrought iron across there for a fence. And
I would say we see both of those configurations a lot, and most of that is probably something that could even be administratively approved once you get it figured out. So we can probably let you guys play with that and how you want that to be configured and address it whenever you know what you want.
Okay, so is there any direction or a motion? Looking down at that end, because there's a lot of rumbling.
We are just saying, it seems like a lot of edits have been suggested, and maybe it would be best to continue the entire application since they can't do some of the other things that staff recommended approval on until they get approval for the rest of the application. I wonder, do you have enough information from commission members as far as what edits were suggested? Have we given all of our input?
And are you okay with the continuance?
well, I mean, obviously, we'd like to get started. The only thing that concerns me is sitting back here listening. I keep hearing things continue to September. Is there not an August meeting?
There is. It's a short turnaround to get the documentation in, so a lot of times we give people that larger window, and a lot of those things that were continued are things that are continued on the understanding that we'll administratively approve it before the meeting, so it'll just go away. So we're just giving ourselves a bigger window of
So
time.
when is our next deadline for August?
So August, we would need materials from you. Well, technically, it would be Tuesday of next week. We might, with there being a holiday in between, be able to give you a little buffer there. That would be great. But
You weren't going to take off, were you?
So how much time do we have to turn it?
do what? Sorry.
How much time do we have to turn this? Do we have a week from today?
We have, yeah, I think a week from today is fine to get, yeah,
Because of the holiday.
the holiday, yeah.
We're making an exception because of the holiday, make sure.
Yep.
That's fine. And we'll get it to you by next Wednesday. David will bring it down, and if you guys could look at it, whatever changes we can make, and Ford will turn it again.
Yeah.
So, obviously we have clients that want to get started. But what we did, again, we told them they're going to have to be patient. This is a different process. So.
Something I was thinking as far as future projects coming in, as we were talking about the number of times that we met, and I was looking through at all of our comments, every time we met, I think, you didn't leave plans with us. And so I think if and when you come to us with another project, if you can leave something with staff, even that it's got big, this is a draft, stamps all over it, because a lot of times we sit and look with you and you're gushing about how excited you are about the project, and we're looking at pretty renderings, and we don't catch things that if we sat in our own office at our desk and went over your plans, we would probably call you up and say, here's a couple of things. Because I don't think we had any plans until you actually submitted your application. Did we? Okay. But that's just...
We'll do that in the future. One thing that I would like to ask while we're standing here and have your all's comments, we bought a lot in Paseo on Northwest 25th Street that we'd like to build a craftsman-style home on. It has an absolutely beautiful view out to downtown. And I listened, you all had some comments on that balcony that lady was, is that acceptable to do a back balcony on a house? Because that's kind of what we were thinking about doing.
Got approved.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think it is.
In some cases, yes, I think we would have to look at the particular site and how visible that would be from other locations.
Yeah, just the way it sits up, it has a south facing, beautiful to not only to the Capitol, but the whole downtown area.
I think that one works, and it's been done before, but it's always with a Tudor that has a very high-pitched roof. So
Good point.
that's why there's more room. The conversions are happening upstairs, and so there's more room than if it would have been a bungalow. So that might, if there's, because I know there's some Tudors over there too.
We could easily do a Tudor. We've started this whole new Tudor line anyway, so.
Or you just might look at some other styles that have, so that you don't have the roof problem.
I'm going to interject. We do have one applicant sitting very patiently in the back of the room for the last case, so...
Amelia, do you want to make a...
Okay.
We're not done.
Thank you all very much.
We're not done.
You're not quite done. Caleb?
Thank you.
You're not quite out of the woods yet.
Oh, I thought I got continued.
Yeah, we have to make the motion. I move to continue HPCA 14-00116, all items, to the August 6th meeting, with the specific finding that additional information is required from the applicant in order to determine whether the action requested is consistent with all relevant guidelines and are in compliance with the relevant sections of the Municipal Code 2010 as referenced in Section D of the staff report.
Second.
Okay, I think it was motion made by Neela Craig Clements and seconded by Jennifer Bourne. All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Thank you all.
HPCA 14-00117 at 2141 Northwest 26th Street, Shepherd, Ward 2. Consideration and possible action on application of Marty Dickens Marty Dickens by Catherine Montgomery, AIA, of Preservation and Design Studio, for certificate of appropriateness to 1, demolish existing garage, elective; 2, construct garage, elective; 3, replace driveway, elective; 4, remove curb and sidewalk, elective; and 5, install retaining wall and sidewalk, elective.
Okay, is the applicant present? Thanks for waiting patiently. Last on
Hi, I'm Marty Dickens.
Excuse me?
I'm Marty Dickens.
Okay, welcome. Could you sign in, please?
Yes.
Any questions? So we ought to take the demolition first. We ought to do that, right? Right.
Wasn't Shepherd one of the districts that can have a certain portion of metal garage doors? What did I hear about that? What was that again?
Shepherd, metal, wait, let me look. Metal garage doors with a panel design are acceptable in Heritage Hills East, Putnam Heights, and Shepherd. These doors can be used at garages that are modest in style, located at the back of the lot, and minimally visible. So
A detached garage.
Yeah, we did not approve one recently that was an attached garage on the front elevation of the house.
Okay, that's what I thought.
But in this location, it appears to meet that guideline.
But staff had recommended a condition.
That was for the pedestrian door, yeah.
Oh,
So we have,
gotcha.
metal garage doors are allowed, but pedestrian doors are still supposed to be wood, aluminum clad wood, fiberglass, et cetera.
Gotcha, okay.
So, Mr. Dickens, did you notice in the staff report they recommended a different material for the pedestrian door?
Yes.
And what are your thoughts on that?
I can do it if I need to do that. I brought 2 examples
Okay.
that if I had to do it, we could do it. The reason I went with metal is my neighbor to the west had their garage broken into and their house broken into before. So,
Does it seem weird that they can do a steel garage door that's
Yeah.
much wider, much bigger, and not a steel pedestrian door that's smaller?
Probably just a glitch.
I just wonder what the reasoning was when we did this.
Catherine?
What was your reasoning?
I don't know if it was based on what's already common in certain districts and, has already been used for a long time. I don't know.
And the guidelines, do they prohibit the steel pedestrian door? Remind me what they say.
It's one that says...
What's the number?
It is 4.4.13, and says they may be solid wood or alternate door and door frame materials such as composite wood or aluminum clad wood. I think we have also approved fiberglass, I believe, but typically have not approved steel. But no, steel is not prohibited. So.
Yeah, you can see this from the right-of-way, so I see that the guidelines are kind of clear that maybe the steel door wouldn't be appropriate there.
Okay. Take the demolition first. Comment? Motion?
Yeah, I go by here frequently, and you can, it's visible, what you can see of the garage is very, pictures really, I think, are a good indication, and it makes sense. So I would move to approve HPCA 14-00117, item number 1, demolish existing garage with the specific finding that the proposed work will have an adverse effect on the historic character of the district or property, but is necessary because of an imminent threat to public health and safety, and complies with all relevant guidelines and sections of the Municipal Code 2010 as referenced in Section D of the staff report.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved by Jeff Parks and seconded by Jennifer Bourne. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, item 1 is approved. And now on to the construction.
Generally speaking, I think it's a great design. It's a nice scale. It fits with, the historic garage, and it makes good design sense, I think.
Mr. Dickens, this printout that you submitted, the door that's highlighted, is that the one that you would consider going with?
Sure, that's I think the aluminum clad door, is that right?
This is?
And then the other sheet is all wood.
I just have one sheet.
I should note, I think our staff report just says that they proposed hardy plank siding, but the applicant, actually, that is what they would prefer to use, but they did include an option of wood siding if the commission was not comfortable with the hardy plank. We regularly approve hardy plank on new garages, but just wanted to include that since that was in part of their submission.
I think the hardy plank is appropriate, and it's more sustainable for the owner as well.
I noticed the shingle colors are hunter green. Is that the color of on the house?
Yes,
Okay, so it matches.
it's the same shingle.
Same shingle.
So I would move to approve it with condition, unless anyone has any other comments. Approve HPCA 14-00117, item 2, with the following conditions. With the specific findings, the proposed work with the agreed upon conditions will not have an adverse effect on the historic character of the district or property. The items comply with all relevant guidelines and sections of the Municipal Code 2010 as referenced in Section C and/or D of the staff report. The condition reads that an alternate proposal for a door in a more appropriate material be submitted to staff prior to the release of the CA. And I think you said you had 2, and I guess you can talk with staff to see which one is more appropriate.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Second.
Okay, it's been moved by Neil Frank Clements and seconded by Jennifer Bourne. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, item 2 is approved with, what is that, conditions? Or? Conditions. Okay, now on to 3 and 4. Driveway and sidewalk.
Just a little clarification that your agenda and your staff report do not quite match. They include all the same items, but we ended up combining what is on the agenda as items 4 and 5 into one item, and that's replacing the curb and sidewalk with a retaining wall and sidewalk. So just in case you're looking from one document to the other. Okay, yeah.
I move to approve HPCA 14-00117, items 3 and 4. The specific findings that the proposed work will not have an adverse effect on the historic character of the district or property and complies with all relevant guidelines and sections of the Municipal Code 2010, as referenced in Section C of the staff report and what Jeff has.
Do you need to also enumerate item 5, since that's in the agenda as well?
That would be helpful for the minutes if you said that the items include what's listed on the agenda as item 5, but they're a part of what Katie said.
Yeah, you could just say
a minute ago.
3, 4, and 5, and it's all one thing, and we'll clean it up later. Sorry.
I move to approve 3, 4, and 5.
Second.
Who seconded that?
I'll take it.
You take it.
It's been moved by Jennifer Bourne and seconded by Jeff Parks. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay. That is approved. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Onward. Other business.
We have a resolution for Patrick Gaines. Thought he might be able to be here today, but he couldn't make it. But we'll send this to him. I'll pass this around and have everyone sign. A resolution of the Historic Preservation Commission of the City of Oklahoma City acknowledging Patrick Gaines for honorable service as a commissioner on the Historic Preservation Commission. Whereas Patrick has nobly and tirelessly served the citizens of this community as chairperson and commissioner of the Historic Preservation Commission since 2012, and whereas Patrick Gaines graciously served the Historic Preservation Commission as a resident of the Heritage Hills Historic and Architectural District in the city of Oklahoma City, and whereas Patrick Gaines' fulfillment of his responsibilities was achieved with professional dedication to the well-being of the community, and whereas Patrick Gaines brought practical analytical skills and consideration of the facts to his decision-making and leadership of the commission, and whereas Patrick Gaines has treated applicants, citizens, fellow commissioners, and staff with exemplary respect and courtesy, and whereas Patrick Gaines demonstrated his enthusiasm for historic preservation in Oklahoma City by helping other members of the commission and the community to understand the intricacies of the preservation guidelines and standards and the preservation ordinance and apply them with objectivity, now therefore be it resolved that the Historic Preservation Commission hereby commends Patrick Gaines for his service on the City of Oklahoma City Historic Preservation Commission. So we just need a motion to... It's just other business? Oh, so they can't take action on it?
They can just sign it if they want.
Okay. It's not like any official thing, so we'll just sign it.
Okay, great. Too bad he couldn't be here. All right, on to the next one. We've got elect a chair. An electric chair, yes, that's what we need, electric chair.
Here, I'll have everybody sign 2 copies so we have one.
What do we do?
So if someone is so inclined to nominate someone to serve as chair,
I would nominate Alan Brown to serve as chair.
Second. And you need a second.
Wow. Can we decline? Okay, so do I take a vote like normal? On my own nomination?
So somebody else needs to carry the motion since you're the nominee.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, she did such a great job earlier.
All in favor of electing Alan Brown to be chairperson? Aye?
Aye.
Any opposition?
Oh, no. Yeah, I abstain, I guess. Well, thank you, appreciate that. Whatever. You're just relieved that somebody stepped forward to do it. You didn't have to do it. Okay, now we have to do a vice chair.
Yes.
Is there a motion on that?
I motion Jeffrey Parks as vice chair.
I don't mind to accept it, but I just want to make sure that, have there been other discussions or...
I think this is it. What? Have we had other discussions?
Does anybody else want to do it?
Oh.
I heard rumors about Neela, too.
Yeah, I believe there was discussion of Alan nominating Neela, but I don't know if Alan can nominate now that he's...
He can't nominate.
As a chair.
No.
Because I was going to pay her back for nominating me.
But anybody can nominate anybody.
Yeah. No, and I'm fully aware of that. So I'm happy to serve in whatever capacity the commission wishes or step aside and happy to let someone else do that as well. So.
You make good motions, though. Can the vice chair make? They can make motions.
The vice chair can make motions.
Right.
Yes.
Hmm? That's right. Just a paper pusher.
Served as vice chair, he could certainly make motions, unless he was chairing at the time.
So you two find it out down there. Okay. Is there a second? Oh, I'm not running this. Oh, I am running this one. Okay. So who seconded that?
I'll second it.
Okay. So it's been moved by Jennifer Bourne and seconded by Neela Clements that Jeffrey Parks be named as vice chairman. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Congratulations.
I thank the commission.
The architect
Really,
has
I
taken
do.
over. Okay, communications.
Lots of administrative approvals. I don't remember if I said this last month. We are now linking the administrative approvals on the agenda online, so you can click on those and look at the actual documentation if you're curious about one. You could always pull them up by their CA number, but it's a little easier to look at those now. And staff can always answer questions if you see one that you're curious what the work is. As I mentioned at the beginning of the meeting, guidelines will go into effect on July 11th, guideline and ordinance revisions. The Stover appeal going to Board of Adjustment has been continued over and over and over again, and they've been continued yet again, so I think they go August 7th now, and we will keep you informed on that one.
Do you know why they keep being continued?
No, not really. All of the continuances have been like with no discussion, just with at the applicant's request or because there wasn't a quorum or some kind of procedural thing like that. They're not being continued asking for more information or anything like that.
Are there 5 on the Board of Adjustment?
There are, by statute.
By statute?
By statute, there are 5, and they have to have 3 to
Three.
take any action.
Okay. Now, where are we? Okay. Anything? Next meeting?
Municipal counselor, any?
No.
Nothing? Okay, next meeting date is August 6th, 2014. The applications received July 1st, 2014, and new information on July 8th, which is always confusing to me. It'd be nice if we could make those the same, but I understand time. The workshop on Wednesday, July 9th at 11:30 to 1:30 at the Planning Department, Suite 900, 420 West Main.
We didn't get you an agenda for the workshop. We usually get that to you at this meeting, but we'll get it out tomorrow or early next week. So.
Okay. Any commissioners have things they want to say?
I just have a question about the resolution for Patrick, where in the first whereas, where it says chairperson and commissioner since 2012, are you only starting the date from when he became chairperson? Because he's been a commissioner since 2009.
Oops.
I think we did start that with when he became chair, although I need to check because we do have a spreadsheet of everybody's dates.
He started May 2009.
Okay.
Only know that because he and I started at the same time. Okay. Not because I'm keeping track of Patrick, for the record.
Okay. Any other comments from commissioners or items? Any citizens left? Nope. So, motion to adjourn? Second?
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
We adjourn. Thank you.